everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up.
And I'm gonna try not to offend somebody or people, and I know it's gonna be hard because I told George.
Please.
Well, you might ask for it because, well, at least they're not Filipino, so I guess well, wait a minute. No, I guess. Anyways, so there has been a crap ton loads of, I don't want to say misinformation, but these budgets. Okay, we have not even in one iota not told you guys. Matter of fact, we've been too forward about what we're spending our money on. Very forward. They say the last thing you should inform people is what your money is. Yeah, we don't reveal every single source that we're spending, but we tell you guys, hey, we're getting a couple hundred for YouTube, which a lot of these vloggers through YouTube and through other social media points, they're getting extra money. So they're living on that, but they're not saying anything. We're going to go through and give you guys some what we feel is why they're doing this, because we've got answers for their craziness here lately. And it's been like a budget battle. That's why I'm saying clowns and jokers. And George was like, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am stuck in the middle with you. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's actually a good title for these jokers here lately, because I'm like, and that's a generated thumbnail that I asked for, okay? Because I was like, that's what these guys all look like, trying to put these unusual, strange, untruthful, and truthful budgets. We don't know, but I know that a lot of them are super unrealistic, like underestimated, and then you have a bunch that are bragging about everything that they have, okay? But sometimes it could actually be that they don't really have the money. That is a good possibility. There's a lot of guys that pretend to be rich, okay, and they live on credit cards, or they're getting money from back home. They could be trust fund babies. It could be these young expats coming in that are living on money. We've had all kinds of scenarios, but we're going to reveal the truths on that today. And that's about what I got going on.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I mean, like, we know this guy. His name is
well, we're
Brian. You don't want to discuss Brian's budget before we say hello to people? Brian the expat living in Cebu. This is one of the crazier budgets we heard. How much is his rent there? 3,000 pesos for a 4-bedroom house, allegedly.
oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. Again,
His
be aware. There's a lot of these guys.
electricity, 1,200. They run an air con half the day. They run all these fans. He runs the refrigerator, microwaves. His food budget, 4,000, including eating out, guys. 4,000 pesos, or $80 a month. The guy eats out every day, has a couple beers every day, takes his woman out, got a girlfriend, not a wife, a girlfriend that he buys stuff for and everything else. He takes her shopping at the mall. He takes grabs that he says that he pays $2 for, and he goes 8-9 miles. Okay. And he pays 10 pesos to get on a jeepney that takes him for miles. Okay, we're talking the ultimate budget. Okay, and when this vlogger, this YouTuber tells this story, okay, true story. When this guy Brian tells this story, it's like, my God, I think I can do that. He's got a girlfriend he takes out. He eats out all the time. Well, my Social Security is about $1,100. Why not? I've got a little bit of money. Why can't I do it like Every Man Has a Story did and just come on over? Why can't I do it the way Sunshine Shoulders did and he just came on down? And everybody's results will be different. But Brian, he spends little to no money. He might even be where he's bragging all the time about how much money he has.
All right, guys, just to clarify, just saying, Mike and Brian are very common names, so don't think it's somebody you know.
Brian.
Well, I'm just saying.
I guess I didn't
just
think
just to clarify.
It's
Brian
not
and Mike are very common names. Okay,
very common.
Not somebody you know.
Yeah, and if I'm going to say it, I'm just going to call you out. You guys know I will. I don't give a rat's tail. So, but it's unrealistic. But why? Why would they tell you this? Your eyes. And here's another thing. What was it that I said the other day? why is it that people see it and they see him spending the money? Like they'll go on vacation. This Brian guy gets on an airplane. He goes and he does like he'll go down to Riot and he'll get inside of these tours that cost, and we know the tours cost 60, 70 USD just to do it. They give them little buggies and they do the whole thing, and they're doing all this, but they're still claiming they're living. Let's see, three, four, five. So according to him, he's living on about that $400 a month budget, guys. So we're going to stick with the $400 a month budget from Brian. Okay. Nobody that you guys know. And it's like, it just gets old. It gets old because that's not, first off, I've heard it said a dozen times, if people believe in that and then they come here and do that, that's kind of on them for not using common sense. But I think it's unrealistic and it's not doing anybody any good to do that except for the vlogger that's making the money doing it. The same with all this bickering that's been going around on social media about these budgets. All of a sudden, you got 30 vloggers discussing budgets, and they've been discussing extreme and extremely low, high and low budgets. That's like, does it apply to you situation? Does it really apply to you? So that's what we will discuss. Every channel covers something different and for different reasons, and we'll get into that.
Right.
We got a whole 9 hours, guys. I'm just going to talk budgets for 9 hours. Wait.
Well, actually, well,
It's a joke.
well, no, I know, but I'm saying we've done a marathon before, but
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
it's just been going on forever about these budgets, and I'm sure a few of them are watching today. We're well aware that 2 or 3 of them actually watch our channel that's been really pushing the budget theme here lately. But I just told George, I can tell you the words I said, and I'm sure these people would like to know exactly what we said or what I said about all of this going on. But it's very
Well, it's like what Zig Ziglar said. It's not about trying to sell somebody something. It's just confirming what they want to hear.
well, and it's important not to generalize an entire group of people. Like I try not to. If I'm going to call somebody out, I'm just going to call them out because everybody's going to be different. And there's always the exception with individuals. Everybody's budgets will be individual. And we've been saying it for years, for those that have been with us, that we don't sugarcoat nothing. The only other person I used to hear that from all the time was Sunshine. He used to say, I ain't sugarcoating nothing. And now all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, I'm not sugarcoating, believe me, believe me. And it's like, no, it's just some of it's unrealistic. So there are different reasons why these vloggers are telling you this, because usually it does come from a vlogger. It just wouldn't be that you came here, sat down at, say, I don't know, Kokomo's, and you sat there with an expat. Let's say this was 1990 and there was no vloggers. That other guy's not going to sit there. He has nothing to gain by saying, hey, I'm only living on $100 a month. My life is fan freaking tastic. No, usually they just, they tell you what's really going on. And back then, people used to try to help people. Now it's part of their content. So it's one of the bigger reasons why they're doing it. So I'm kind of leaking into what I'm going to say.
Right. Well, okay. Well, here
My lips are leaking.
in the Philippines, they have an old saying. It said it, and Miyagi can agree to this.
Hey,
Miyagi,
Miyagi,
Miyagi, how you
it's
doing?
Sarah.
Miyagi's in the house, and Scott has personally. I've been with Scott recently, and again, there's an old saying here in the Philippines called "Mamabola." Um, the word direct translation doesn't make sense. It means the ball guy,
There's a lot of them around here.
right? No.
I'm going
Okay.
bald.
Well, actually, bola means ball. But that's not how it really means. It's a deeper etymology, which means you make a fool of other people. That's what it means. Mama bola. It means you're lying to them. So when somebody says, when you land here in the Philippines, they call you mama bola, you're technically calling you a liar. That's what it means. And unfortunately, most of these people, be aware, there's 2 types of mama bola. Okay. There are the Momo Bolas that, again, hey, I have a YouTube channel. I'm going to tell you this budget. I live on a 500 or 3. Well, actually, the lowest one I've seen was $200 a month. No, really. $200 a month. I live on $200 a month. I'm in Philippines. I'm an expat. I live in the Philippines for $200 a month. Mambabola. That's lies. Don't ever think that. Okay. Now, the worst kind of mambabola, which unfortunately most of you guys are not aware of, are the ones that say, "Oh, yeah, he they George and Heidi says live at least a minimum 1,500. Guess what? I can do it on $700 a month.
And
I can do it." That's the worst kind of mabola, which means you're fooling yourself.
And when-
Never fool yourself.
And now with the YouTube world and the social media world, they're definitely going to put that out. I don't know. I mean, I now know why. I got a better idea by talking to some people, doing some research, and like some real hard truths being put out there, which we'll put out today. Go in and say hi.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just insane. As a matter of fact, in the last week, there's been like couple dozen videos put out by vloggers, okay, that have talked about these budgets. One screaming about one, bragging about his stuff. The other one saying, I live like this. And then a bunch of people copied in between. And I told George, for me, you guys know me, I'm just not going to sit on the state, on what I call state side. I'm just not going to sit here on the side and let our people, especially because we have a lot of loyal viewers that watch, okay, and we already know that our people are highly intelligent. They do their own fact searching. There's very few that we have found that just throw the towel in and say, hey, I'm going to do what so and so said and so and so. But we're also aware that a lot of them watch a lot of other channels, and so I think for the most part, honestly, we have not fully watched those other videos on those other channels. It just comes up in our feed, because I'm not even going to waste my time with the ones I've seen lately, okay? Because it just is, babe. It's ridiculous and immature of some of these channels just to go back and forth to attack each other about their way of lives. Everybody has the right to live, at whatever income that they actually are. But people need to, and the channels need to stop belittling other people that come here. If somebody wants to live on $600 a month, then they can do it. If they have 10 to 12,000, it's not unrealistic. I think it's only about 10% that come here with a lot of money like that. And if they can afford to do things, they can do it. I suggest they don't sit around and brag about it the way that they do. And those that are always trying to put it out, there's some other issues going on with them. But you either have the extreme that brag, you either have the ones in between that don't have either. They're just living on their savings and credit cards, and they're really just doing it to hook a fish here, and so, or get a younger wife. I don't know, for whatever purposes they're doing it, but some don't even have the income or the money. They're just pretenders. And then the others are the ones that are on lower budgets. Some of them pretend to have more than they actually do, and then some, you know, put way lower than they're actually. It's kind of hard saying, but there's like a couple different types that actually exist.
Yeah, no. Actually, the worst, like I said, the worst type is the ones that fool themselves. But the other worst type would be, actually, it's not just me who brought it up. Somebody brought it up in the last live stream. There's something called a fake pat.
Oh,
Heidi, what's a fake pat?
can I call the channels out?
No, you
I'm
can't
just
call
joking.
it channels out.
A fake pat basically is the ones that lie about their assets. Okay, you'll hear so and so, oh, I own 3 houses in the US, and I've actually heard this, that I own 4 different places here in the Philippines, literally in different areas. And I have 2 cars here, I have a couple back home. Um, and they go on about their income, and I'm like, why would someone put out that much information? And from that beginning, you know that
There's something wrong.
because me and George have both been around millionaires, billionaires, rich people, and they don't do that. They don't sit around and talk. The rich and the professionals and the ones that have any class, and I'm going to call you guys out, class, those who have class do not sit around and say, this is what I own. I have 5 TVs in my house, and I have this, and I own another house here. And I don't get those type of people that just sit around, and then it'll be, well, Heidi and George were hating on people the other day. It's because they don't have nothing. We have each other. We have love. We live in the same house. Okay. We love each other. We have a sufficient income plus some savings, and we do okay. My husband is Filipino, okay? So at least I have somebody that can walk me through things, but we have what we need. That is for
Well,
sure.
unfortunately for you guys, when fake pats make comments, it's kind of hard to detect only because
Yeah.
oh, no. Heidi's been here though.
Well,
What I'm saying is, if you haven't been here, it's kind of hard to detect because most people won't know any better. Meaning,
Miyagi, please sit down.
what? All right. So what I'm saying is, well, actually, Miyagi probably did say something.
No, further down, he said, I own only beach mansions in Arizona, Walang Bola.
Walang bola. Not fooling you guys. That's what he says. Walang bola. No balls. All right. That's not what it sounds like. But
But here's the crazy part I told George is that I seen it the other day. I think it was on a Grey's Anatomy or something. Like, sometimes they'll put sayings up or something, and I know it's kind of crazy, but I was like, that reminds me of being here, which kind of led us to do this. And it's like, basically, it said people believe what other people's dreams are because they don't want to open their eyes or they don't want to believe. They want to live that dream somewhere along that line. And I'm like, that is so true here. You always hear them say, I'm living vicariously through so and so, especially during the pandemic when they wanted to get over here to Walking Street. They lived through other vloggers or they wanted to be near the beach or whatever. And their dreams are kept alive of retirement through watching these channels. And I get it. I get it. Some are for entertainment factors, some is for information or expat help like us. We try to do a little bit of a mix and everything. But what we do is keep it real and realistic, which doesn't pay off here in the Philippines, evidently, per the numbers and stuff. If we sold that dream every day, and George, let's say if we really wanted to kick up numbers, I could just drop out of the scene. George could go get a 19-year-old girl that'll appear on the live streams with him. He could start going to the beach every day and doing all these activities and feed into people's dreams. We would probably be sitting up there with higher numbers. But beings we keep it real, beings we are dream killers. I'm a dream killer in every way. Then it's what we get, and we're not really affected by telling the truth. The trolls don't get to us, the other channels don't get to us. They think they do, but our lives continue. When this goes down, we continue to talk to people on Messenger and emails. We continue to go on with our life here in the Philippines. That is for sure. So I just they don't want their dreams crushed, or they want extreme drama. It's kind of like it's like really weird. Some of them are, I don't know, but we're dream killers and we're going to stay that way. Ooh, dream killer, I'll get you through the night.
who sang that?
Ooh, dream. It's Dreamweaver, babe.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
putting dream killer in there.
Okay.
So we'll give you the reasons why
That was
we
before my
feel
time.
and why
I'm
it's
joking.
actually been psychologically broke down why these people do it. I mean, we've got a real good list, so definitely stick around, guys. So
Yes,
it's
definitely.
we discussed this last night, and I'm like, oh my god, that is so true. There's many reasons why they do it. And a lot of people think it's just because they're hating on each other's channels. We will know why those main three channels have been going back and forth, and they are in that list. Most definitely, they are in that list of why they do it. So
Yeah,
be very
and
interesting.
yes, it was very true. And again, guys, to show us sign support,
Oh boy.
just show up on the corner of Club Envy and Philly's the restaurant. On the corner, go make a right, and you'll see a little alleyway, and you'll see me there. You'll meet me in person, and then just make a very generous donation to my pocket purse.
Now, how am I supposed to AI generate that photo for the people in the recap?
Well, you can't because that way, that's a personal invitation and a personal experience.
I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna have your what's it called up there changed. Okay, so I'm gonna let you know that I'm gonna AI generate a Georgie. Well, I can't even say this. Here, come here.
I guess you can. Technically, there's nothing wrong with that. No, there isn't.
Okay, we try to watch our words because people like to report for sure. Yeah, because they don't like the truth. By the way, we know we're doing our job on this channel when we get reported or people send
When we get hate,
emails.
that means we're succeeding, technically.
We're happy about it. So you guys got the right ones on that one. Okay, I'll just ask him to AI generate a Georgie drag queen. We'll see.
I'll probably create a monkey that's
In a dress with
dressing
lipstick?
like, yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, go ahead and say hi so we can get on with this. So those that are on these other channels are waiting around with bated breath. Like, is she talking about me? Maybe. I want you guys to know it.
Yes, because we can see you right through the webcam.
Yep. The difference between us and these other people, and I'm going to say it again, and I still mean it to anybody that takes offense to it. We will talk to you about these situations if you want to talk about it. The rest of them want to hide. So, but anyway, that's all I got to say. Yeah, that's you, George.
Jennifer, how you doing?
Hi,
And
sweetie.
Jennifer.
Panama City.
Oh snap! Beverly is in Panama City, Panama.
Oh, sweet. Oh, sweet. By the way, guys, a shameless plug. Check out our other channels. We have George the Cat Lady. We put our pets on there officially. But if you guys want a good laugh. And then we actually have the other channel, which is Island Reboot. And I like to thank Beverly. She was a big inspiration for Island Reboot because we wanted to wait till our channel got a little bigger to start another one because sometimes starting a second channel can actually become an issue
It's
and
going
time
to Italy in
consuming.
November.
But it is about me rebooting my life as a female expat, okay? And I'm going to start doing like videos and talking about different things. I'm going to try to get some more videos out and about, but I am still steadily losing weight and everything. And I just covered like things that are helping me, and I'll be putting a second video out about it. But like the vitamins I'm using, natural medicine in Asia, and the things that actually are working. But I am doing fan-freaking-tastic, man. I mean, I can stand much longer. I'm getting around the house. I'm going outside for walks, and the weight is steadily coming off. So it makes sense. I'm moving and eating less and eating sugar. And so check out Island Reboot. It's in the description. I would appreciate if people would sign up for it.
It's a very common name. Sky in the World as I see it says, after going there, I don't see my budget under 1,800 a month.
And we definitely agree on that. There's kind of like an in-between budget, and we've mentioned that the 2,000 would be the norm now if you want to do okay here, but it's better than spending 4 and 6 in the US, or it's getting really crazy. They were showing in Florida there was a 2-bedroom 1-bath, just a so-so house in Florida, 2,000 a month. That's insane, man. I just can't see it. So 2,000 would be minimal, but we know that there are people living. I mean, like those mountain people, they were literally living on less than 5,000 pesos a month or less. Remember, it was like 50 as a matter of fact. Is that even possible? Yeah. If you have your chickens and all your stuff, they're buying is either medicine, they're buying things for their kids. You'll see the farm people all the way out there, and the only thing they're buying is diapers. And even then, I've seen them wash everything out. It's kind of crazy. They do the old cloth diapers and everything. So really, is it possible? Yeah. $100 budget exists here, guys. So
Yeah, just real
George
quick,
lives on it.
what Heidi says, be aware that there's mountain people and there's mountain people. And what I'm saying is, for example, there's what would be in US would be called American Indians, and in Australia would be your Aboriginals. And what I'm saying is they're same thing in here in the Philippines. And where I'm getting at with this is, be aware that here they call them Aboriginals, okay? But Aboriginals have a reservation. And the reason why I brought this up is to clarify that Aboriginals have a reservation of land that the government allocates to them. And what I'm saying is they don't pay rent there. So what I'm saying is never ever compare yourself to an Philippine Aboriginal for a budget, if that makes any sense. Not that they will, but point being is,
some do. Some
well, I have seen them.
Expat
I have seen
bloggers try to
YouTubers
say
use Aboriginal
$30
people.
a week.
Oh,
for 4
you
people.
spend $400 a month? No, that doesn't count, because guess what?
Not when you're traveling.
They're not paying
going everywhere.
for rent because they live in their own little reservation. Doesn't count. Okay. You should be good with 2,500.
Yeah,
yes.
you guys are highly intelligent, and I hate to
Yeah.
say it, you just have to use your common sense and think with your head.
Use your coconuts.
Don't use your coconuts. Think with your head.
Well, think with the
Very
right head.
cojones.
Just saying.
I
And
said that.
yeah, and on the
Or
same
your
subject,
Twinkie. Don't think with your Twinkie.
400. Oh hell no!
It can be done. I ain't even gonna lie about that. Especially there could be several
Well,
reasons
can it be
why
done? Yes. Do I recommend it? Probably not even the slightest.
it's done. Can we drop
It's not
down?
impossible.
Because I told George with all the expat budget videos that are coming out here, actually, anyways, there's the ones that are coming out. I told George, I said, can we really live on that? Yes, the lowest we've lived on
Yes.
was 800 a month, and that's here in the city. But that was a lot of hot dogs and eggs and rice. I mean, it was, we didn't exactly just eat fish and rice.
Well,
And we still ran the air conditioner 12 hours a day. We still got our medicines, and doctor visits and basics are inexpensive, but it can be done.
part of the subject. Yes. 400. Oh hell no. Okay. When Racer X says, "Oh hell no,"
You could.
you could,
Even in the city,
but
you'd
bear
have
in mind, one, you won't have a nice smooth textured wall like this. You'll probably live in
concrete.
some concrete blockhouse. Two, be
Forget
in
about your
mind.
immigration. You're gonna have to be Tago.
Thank you. You'd probably be a TNT. Yes.
Something they rarely
You
mention.
probably don't have to pay for your immigration. Don't do that. Two, be aware that there's two of us. What I'm saying is, you're
George,
definitely gonna live like a hermit life in some rock like house building that you have to go out
with
to a
just a
porta potty.
and we're gonna have to run a line of our electricity next door.
Well, actually, I may be exaggerating, but bottom line, it's not something you would want to live in.
But some have different experiences. So there was a diverse background. There's like, reasons that they're actually moving here. So everybody, the reason they're giving either an extremely high or low budget is because of the reality of, what they're actually living. It's basically, I wanted to say that, like me and George, we appeal to those that are on Social Security, some that are on budgets, because we're on Social Security. I'm disabled. With us doing the YouTube, some watch us because they want to learn about YouTube, which everybody's more than welcome. And so we appeal to a certain type of audience. What we may not appeal to is somebody with a $10,000 budget. They just don't want to watch. Now, some will. We do have some well-off people that are members and that reach out to us that like us for us. Believe it or not, they like me. They like me. But in general, each vlogger tries to portray to a certain type of expat community or something. So some like to see, and I'm going to bring up Uncle Jesse. That Uncle Jesse guy. Some of them guys want to have a younger wife, so that channel appeals to them. And him living on, he was on a very low budget. When that appeals to a certain audience, and some just watch it for the drama. Then you have the ones that have the higher budgets. Okay, some people want to do all that traveling. Some people want to see that they're doing well and all of that. Or it's all about Walking Street. There are several of them that walk Walking Street, that talk about Walking Street, the Bar Girls, Ace Bachelor, Cool. All of those channels in there in the Angel City side that only want to see that. So every channel appeals to somebody for that reason. So sometimes they fudge it a little bit more. Like maybe it's I make way more than this, or some will dip low, and I'm like, why? Why would they actually do? Another reason they don't tell like the truth on their budgets is they sometimes just focus on the positive about the Philippines to keep their viewers in. So when I first started, George goes, "You're gonna have to take that down a notch. You're dogging the Philippines all the time. People don't like what you're saying about it." But I was like, Sunshine can do it, and Every Man can do it, and all these others do. And I get that I do it in an off way, but you did tell me that a lot when we first started. All I did was
Okay,
butcher the
first
Philippines,
off,
but it was a harsh truth.
for those of you in usage channel, keep in mind that I am always been a half full guy. Always.
And I'm about just putting it out there.
What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter if the ship is sinking. Always the guy's like, hey, at least we don't have to pay our rent next month.
And then I'm gonna
You
be
know what I'm
like,
saying?
and
I'm
gonna
always
be
that
like,
guy.
I'm gonna be like, there's no lifeboats, and there's no life preserve jackets or anything, and so there are always two different type of people, and I'm just
Right.
gonna see like far right of what could go wrong. There are two different type of people when it comes down to that, but most YouTubers are naturally inclined to share the positive aspects of their lives, creating only engaging content. Like so, in other words, you will see a bunch of them that will just show all their vacationing. Okay. It's rare that you'll see 6 months into their channel where they say, I'm getting a divorce, which does happen. And or then later you'll see, I can't afford to live here no more. Some will bring that in just for the dramatics, but it's been going on for months and months and months, and they just bring it out. But that'll give you an idea that some just want to only show the positive aspects. So why you don't know what a real budget's here is that would be one of the reasons. They only want to put out the positive aspects and they won't even tell you what the costs are. You're trying to get an ideal, or you guys have a vision in your head. I've seen some outrageous amounts of money being made. I'm like, well, that's how they're living like that, but they don't say so. And then you have the other polar opposite where they pretend that they're living this great life, but they've been living off of credit cards for about a year. It's kind of like
You know, it does
a
happen a lot.
lot of them are
Happens a lot.
giving like some like the false sense of what the actual budgets. Selective editing and presentation showcasing moments and all that. Remember, it is edited. I feel that's why a lot of people don't go live, because they may get tripped up or they can't handle some of the real truths coming from their
Or
viewers,
they can't handle a script.
like the
I mean, they
females.
can't handle alpha script. What
Well,
I'm
I've
saying
seen
is,
the females where these guys, and I've seen them in the channels surrounding us, that'll go in and talk about their panties and talk about something that's really offensive and all that. And I guess that would just get old after a while. But if you put yourself out there, that is the type of crowd you're going to attract to some extent.
well, yeah.
So what I'm saying is that if your channel is about dating these guys and how to do things with the Filipina, and does she like this size and not that size, and you go through all that and then do the live streams anyway. So that's a whole different topic. So they just selectively edit their videos a certain way. And we already went into them catering to a certain audience. Okay. Example, retirees might be focused on the affordability and the leisure activities and all this extra travel and all that. But then there are some on budgets like us. We're not totally broke. We are upper middle class here. We're not living like, I just heard that budget the other day where they said it was 40,000 pesos. That's 700 a month. Is it possible? The answer is yes. Would we attempt that on a permanent basis? No, because we didn't come here to actually just not have some sort of life. So we kind of lived in between. And so every channel will appeal to somebody, like I said earlier, whether it's, some like the walking street life, some people like all adventure, some people like to hear about nothing but bar girls in the different bars down there. Some like to hear just from just the Filipino aspect. There's some that just watch male and female that are all Filipino, and they'll tell this and that, but they cater to actually to expats traveling here. Then you have, I'm going to put it out there, the Filipina P. We like the Filipina P. She does an array from A to Z, mostly scripted and pre-planned, kind of like Scotty Boy. We like his channel because the regular guy actually tells these stories and goes through things. But every channel is a little different, scripted, unscripted. They appeal to whoever. The next reason why they give these astronomical or outrageous or high or low budgets is the lack of complete information.
Which means they don't know
They-
squat.
No, even if they've been here for a couple years, some fudge these numbers, some don't know what they're doing in the vlogging world. So the lack of complete information, or not being here long enough, or in the case I was telling George, you're Filipino. It's weird what these expats are saying. I've got the ultimate budget and I'm doing this and I know about this and this is how. I'm like, why they act like they've been here like 40 years? They were born and raised here and that they're practically Filipino themselves. And I'm like, they've got the spouses, which are usually female, that
Well,
don't really
I'm most,
participate.
yeah, I was gonna say most of the time they don't help the expats out. Right. Now the problem is with that type of vloggers or people is in real life and on the internet. What I'm saying is if a YouTuber doesn't have experience or a fake pat, meaning they've never been here, they're trying to tell you this is what you do, and then they give you what they're saying. There's no interaction if it's not live. That's the good thing about live is you can interact with that vlogger and you can see, oh, okay, they know what they're talking about. Oh, okay. The reason why I said that, because in the business of computers and the business of cars, the way if somebody asks you a dumb question, like when I say dumb, like it doesn't even make any sense. They're testing you. What I'm saying is if they're asking about a car, they ask you some question that doesn't make sense, I can interact with you and say, hey, I don't know what you're talking about, but guess what? If you're talking about this, this is it, this, and if this. Same thing with computers. I don't know what you're talking about, but if you're talking about this, you're talking about this. But if somebody says, yes, definitely, and you're like, then they're like, got you, you're lying. The problem with the internet is most of the time it's a one-way thing, which is why a lot of vloggers out there don't do lives because they can't interact. And if you test them and they ignore you completely, then you know, oh, they don't know the answer to that.
Right. And I do have some more reasons, but to avoid some of what we discussed, look for diverse perspectives, guys,
Right.
because we all know who you guys watch. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It tells us our YouTube manager, along with the tools that YouTube gives us a basic idea of who you guys are watching. And that's why they keep feeding stuff. You ever wonder why all of a sudden Ace Bachelor Cool comes up in your feed and you're not subscribed? It's because we watched him on the occasion just to find out what the heck is really going on. It's like, did he really just do that? That kind of situation. So he comes up in your feed. So much so one time, remember when one of our viewers that we were in personal contact with, we actually watched the movie and it came up in his feed too. That's how the algorithm actually works with YouTube. Um, so look for different ideals because even as of 3, 4 years ago, there were only so many vloggers here. So I'm going to say for, where there's thousands now, there might have been hundreds back then. So now you really have a diverse thing. And secondly, don't solely rely on that. If you guys are relying
Right.
on that, like the Facebook thing, hate to say it, guys, I
Oh,
can't even
don't
help
go
you
on
on that
Facebook
one.
for help. Honestly, don't. Um, be aware that
Be your own
also
person.
that there is no one particular vlogger that's omniscient. There's no such thing as an omniscient person. What I'm getting at is be aware that not any vlogger, they don't know everything. And
Mhm.
honestly, I would tell you personally, even in the lives, I said, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? If they don't say I don't know and they'll give you some answer, they always have an answer for everything. That's a red flag. Just saying.
Yeah. So definitely focus on your own needs. Everybody has a different budget. I told George I'm still going to stick with 2000, even for a single person would be about the income you'd want to have. Do people have 1500 and less? Yes. We live on about 2000 a month. Okay. That's putting away some savings. You don't need 30% of your money put away or 20 or 25 or whatever. It's what we do. We put some money away every month. Okay. Give or take, I'm going to say we do about 100 a month. We never claim to be rich. So we put about 5 to 10,000 pesos away a month for emergency, the squirrel money. And be aware of the editing and people being biased in the YouTube world or the ones that because a lot of things are edited out, okay, that they're not mentioning. Like some won't even mention their immigration costs or the extra what the traveling costs are. Because I've heard lately someone's like, that's really a lot of money. Some have went to different places and that racks up. They go through 1,000 here and 500 here. And some people in their minds, when they're sitting in the United States and they see all this and hear cheap budgets, even I was guilty of that when I got here. I thought that we would have a housekeeper and that we'd be in a house 3 times the size. And I had all kinds of dreams, man. But it's the reality set in for what your needs are.
Right. And I'm gonna tell you a real quick story, and it has okay. We had a subscriber member, Patreon member that we lost, and the reason why we lost that particular member is because we told them the truth.
Mhm.
And me and Heidi actually said, you know what? We'd hate to be the bringer of bad news, but guess what? You have to pay for you and these X amount of people that you're going to bring into the country for immigration, and it's going to cost you X amount of money. And
We have.
after that exchange, we lost them, and we
Yeah,
knew we
because
were going to lose them. But
we would
here's the
rather
thing,
be honest on things and keep our
right?
numbers. I mean, come on, guys. We were looking at like they literally been feeding us all these tubers that have been coming in and Facebook people. But mostly I'm gonna talk about the YouTubers. And on average, some people that have been in the game for a year are already at 10,000 subscribers in 12. What's for different reasons, because they got younger wives or because they're building houses or other things that appeal to whoever it is. For us, we're just a dream killer. I remind people of their exes. Okay. People will see me spout off at George. They don't like my attitude. Some people don't like that George is knowledgeable, born and raised here and has a lot of knowledge. He gets called all kinds of things through messages, and we've heard side comments about him. So everybody will appeal in some manner, for who they're wanting to watch. But in general, everybody is looking for a certain type of vlogger. Only you can make that difference. So sometimes they lack a personal experience because some have only been here for a few months or a year. You're going to see all kinds of experiences. Um, some are super excited, so they're like vlogging every single thing, but they leave out other aspects of their actual life. Some expats may have exceptional circumstances like paying support to families. They have a high amount in their bank accounts, um, which makes it easier to navigate, but it may not fit everybody's needs to hear all how much they have. And at some point, like I said, that's got to be a turnoff. Who sits around in the United States or other countries and brags constantly?
Right.
So a lot of these YouTubers now are talking about I have this and I have, and it does, it's a turnoff. But also to hear the truth like our channel does is not exactly everybody's cup of tea either. So, but the budgets do exist, and I don't care how much money they do or you guys have or don't have, you have to set a budget. You just can't come over here with 100, 200, 300,000 in the bank and then come here with say 1,000 a month only because you've been saving your entire life, and then come here and not stay on a budget, because it is really quick to blow through the money. And everybody has done that. Almost every person, expat that's come here, that's not stayed here, not vacationing is different, that has stayed here, will just go through the money and they don't realize what a setup is, or getting a car or a bike and girlfriends and buying everything because you're like a kid in a candy shop and you will blow through that money. So budgets are very important, but everybody's budget is different 100%.
Right. And don't underestimate the value of other people giving you a realistic version of a budget. And the reason why I'm saying this is you don't want to get stranded. Think of it as every YouTuber is a car lot. We're the car lot that when you walk into, you're looking for a car, will say, hey, you know what? You can't afford this car. In fact, just so you know, there's not a car here that you can afford. But you can go,
But you're not going to hear that on average.
right, you can go to a different car lot, says, yeah, you can get this car for $400 a month. Just sign right here.
Yes,
And guess what? Once you're committed, that car's going to break down in the middle of a desert and you're stuck there. What I'm saying is, guess what? The desert's here, obviously, the Philippines. And if you're living on $400 a month, you're stuck here. And guess what? At $400 a month, you can't even get out of the country.
Right. So that's just it. Right now, if I wanted to leave, a plane ticket's like 1,800 for a long flight. I think that's in that 40 something
Right.
hour range. So then I would need that. So then I need a ticket for George. So then we're talking 4 or 5,000 for a halfway decent flight back to the US. How much would it cost to set up again in the US?
Right.
A lot. So budgets, you have to build them here because you don't want to cut into your squirrel money. Okay, because it'd be really expensive to go back to your country, and a lot of people have family here.
Not
like
to
they got
mention,
kids, wives.
let's say you squirrel enough for a plane ticket, you still have need investment money to move into a place.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Delivery. So I'm going to get into perceptions versus reality, guys. But I'm going to get to Paul, and I want to do a quick shout out if you're still here in the house. He said, "Get a whiteboard, girl, like Ace." Where have you been, Paul? We were the originators of a whiteboard. I don't know if you guys remember, but last year we had one right here, and we still do. I would show you. He said, Paul said, "Get a whiteboard." I said, "We're like the originator. We used to have one behind us." And it was funny because all of a sudden you've seen a couple other vloggers with whiteboards.
Normally, I would grab the whiteboard, but it has a lot of personal information right now because we have a lot of stuff going on.
Right,
But yeah,
including my diet
do have a
schedule
whiteboard,
or
though.
my healthy changing. But no, it wasn't to point things out like school kids, like you see some of the other ones. It was actually just like a list of goals. And when we were trying to get the e-trike that we have and all, we used to put things up on it or what we were covering, and it would say what was coming up, what videos were being released, and we did, but we didn't use it like, there it is, there it is, there it is. So I was telling them that we were going to discuss perception versus reality. So why they tell different budgets, cultural differences.
Yeah.
You can't, I'm telling you guys right now, there's no freaking way I could live out in the mountain. I lived out in the Ozarks, but a lot of people think, hey, I lived out in Texas, out in the middle of nowhere with cattle, and I'm gonna be a-okay. Yeah, and you had a Pizza Hut up the road, and you
Philippine
guys had a
Ozarks
mall.
and U.S. Ozarks are two different things.
Right. So the cultural differences of how high or low that you can actually live or actually survive, you can't even do that. And I don't know how many people actually had that ideal that they were going to come live on their girlfriend or fiance's land and that they were just going to make it. And they couldn't even last a week. We have personally been in contact with those people that can't even cut it for more than a week out there. They leave. And big examples are the 90-day fiancés. Them two guys, they showed No Neck Ed. My God, he couldn't hack it. That was real, guys.
Oh
That
no.
No Neck Ed thing was a real situation, and it still happens. And then there was that other guy that had the jealous girlfriend, went back and forth, and all of that stuff. I think she's pregnant now, or I don't know what's going on with them. But we started to cover them one time, and same thing, a lot of differences in the way they were actually living. Like, he ended up opening up a sorry store and all that. He didn't have any regular income. He was young, but
Oh, the one in the Philippines. Okay.
yeah, the ones there's no neck ed came here. So
Yeah.
there's
No,
a
no, no,
there's
no,
a
no.
lot of them
I
that
thought you were
can't.
talking about Rob the Knob.
Oh my God, that is all right. And individual experiences, guys. That's going to be another perception versus reality. Everyone's experience is going to be different. It's up to you guys to decide whether you can actually deal with that. I still can't believe that somebody over the age of 12 cannot see that these budgets are unrealistic and they really think that on 800 a month that they're going to go all over the place like Old Dog does, or that they're going to go all over the place like some of these other vloggers do, or like Kulos. That all costs money, man. Kulos's life cost. He just went to Canada. He was in Japan recently. I mean, but people don't realize that he makes a lot of money. You may not see him spending the money. That's where the editing comes into place. He won't talk anything about his personal life, but you all assume that you keep seeing him. Like, they pick up on things like, oh, wow, well, that panda cell was only 20 pesos. So they're picking up on things that he specifically edits. See what I mean? It's how the videos are actually edited. So everybody's individual experience will actually vary.
Right.
So
And depending on the YouTuber's monthly budget, be aware that, for example, there are YouTubers out there that have bought properties or bought properties under another person's name, or built a property on leased land. Okay, again, if they give you a budget, for example, just an example, let's say they gave you a $800 budget, okay, and they're living on, for example, a three-bedroom house, just minus basically $100 to $200 for, or add 100 to 200 if they're not paying rent at all. What I'm saying is, if they already bought the property and they're not paying rent, keep that in mind because they're not paying rent. However, even if they're not paying rent, add at least $200 to what their supposed budget is now to compensate for that. Because I have heard some dumb price. Oh, I only pay $400 in rent. Because I don't. I have $400 is my monthly budget because I don't pay rent. I'm like, well, at the most, that's still $600 because,
which
and it's
is
still unrealistic.
right, which is part of the financial mismanagement, underestimating living costs. So because I made a list here.
Hmm.
So the Philippines can be cheaper than Western countries, but expenses can really add up quick. And I told George that when I was making these notes.
Oh,
Expats really, really underestimate the cost of the housing, which is going up. We were just discussing that the other day. Healthcare. I mean, Dumaghetti's getting to be ridiculous. I wouldn't even set foot near that area for multiple reasons. Utilities and transport. All of these are going up, and they're only going to continue to go up. So it's an underestimation of the cost of living is going up. Is it way cheaper? Hands down, any day of the week, okay? Because I told George that I still stand by that. If there are a lot of people that are losing their houses in the US. How many people did they say on the news
23,000
in just the
evictions.
last month or two in that one
Yes.
city? So they're evicting people because they're doubling their rents, and it's not
Florida.
going up by 200 a month
Yeah.
like back in the day, or 100. No, they're doubling it. If rent was 1,000, it went to 2. People can't afford that. So more and more people are becoming homeless, the elderly and all that. So what would you rather do? Sit in your car out on the streets with all this immigration stuff going on, all these migrants coming in, the crime increasing, the robberies, all the things that are going on in the US, political and otherwise? Or would you rather be able to live on your social security or your pensions that you have, instead of living in your car and actually coming over? There's it doesn't you have to make your own decision whether to, but I stand by that. Both me and George said, yeah, we would. If that would have been us, we would have went to another country, whether it was Mexico, whether it was here, where you can actually live a lot cheaper. Why? So poor budgeting. Okay, poor budgeting, not having a clear budget, or failing to stick to the overspending and debt accumulation that happens here will actually happen to people. So I kind of want to throw that in there, and talking about the budgets that people are discussing and why they fluctuate and all that, and they lie, is because they already mismanaged and poor budgets and all that. So some of them are just making stuff up. And also they make it up for views. I don't know if you guys ever calculated that versus reality. It is for the views. And a lot of you say, well, Heidi, you guys are doing it for the views. No, no, sir. We know where our views are, and we don't create our topics based on getting the views. It's like I said, being truthful about things and putting things forward out there does not get you the views. So we do this channel because it's what we do.